guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be all about understanding how heavy you should go and whether it's important that you go heavy in order to grow your muscles. We're going to be talking about two different people here because we know that not everyone is the same. In particular, we're going to be talking about the beginner, the novice, the person that doesn't really have a lot of experience with lifting, and the advanced intermediate kind of person that has been training for a bit, maybe probably like I'll say like at least 3 months into like years, a couple of years as well. So we'll be separating, okay, this group, okay, not discrimination, just because it's important and because rules are different according to the individual as well. That's why we're separating the two parts together. So the question, like the title say, obviously like this video is going to be about understanding whether we have to really lift heavy in order to see results with our training, as the title say. Let's start with the beginners first. Okay, so actually before we get into the video, let me just stop you there and remind you to like and subscribe, not in this side as well, to like and subscribe because your girl puts a lot of effort into planning content for you, so please, I would really appreciate it if you do, because it doesn't cost you anything, so please do it. And that being said, now we can get into the video. So if you're a beginner, you're not used to any form of exercise whatsoever, your body's not used to any sort of stimulus, you don't need to go that heavy. In fact, you should always prioritize the form and first being able to do the exercise correctly. Getting used to the form first, understanding how to do the exercise right, and then add weight. So things like, for example, banded exercises work very well for beginners as well. For example, obviously if we're talking about legs, you want to be able to master how to squat correctly without butt winking, without overextending your spine when you come up and squeeze at the top, okay? Understanding how to hip thrust, leg press if you want to start at the gym. So usually focusing on using no weight at first, just your body weight will be just fine. And as you progress, you can start using things like bands. Resistance bands are also great for beginners because they still add a little bit of resistance, but it's not too much and not too heavy on the person. So you can still focus on the form as well. So that being said, let me get a band now. Thank you very much. And I will show you some of the exercises that I like to do as well at home and for beginners. So key points to remember when you're training at home, okay, even if you're a beginner, I want you to focus yes on form, and because you're not using a lot of weight with you, I want you to focus on doing more reps and more sets, okay? Some of my favorite exercises. I like to do banded monster walk. They seem very easy, you're literally walking from side to side, they seem very easy, but look, don't get deceived by how easy these look, because as soon as you start doing 50, yeah, you'll start feeling them here, okay, it'll start really burning. And what I'm telling you here, I said 50, because I want you to do more reps. Also, this is a great and easy exercise for beginners, because I mean, look how easy it is. It seems very easy, but it really burns as you start doing more reps, and you can't really get it too wrong really. In terms of the squat, obviously I want you to practice first without the resistance band if you're a complete beginner. So I want you to get used to the movement. I know that some people find it hard to squat, and it is a hard exercise, to be fair, to do. It's a compound exercise. It means that it involves different muscles at once. Compound in particular, glutes, hamstrings, even a little bit your core, you know, because obviously you're engaging your core as you squat down. So very nice and simple. The way I want you to do is just imagine that you're sitting down, okay, on a chair. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, just basically that movement of almost sitting down. Okay, and in terms of the stance, let me just go back a bit. I want the stance to be a little bit wider than your hip width apart. Okay, So the stance needs to be hip width apart. And a lot of people I see a lot of beginners a lot of people that make this mistake when they squat, they tend to let their knees cave in, okay? So as they squat, they do this. No, okay? You always should keep your knees out the full time, the entire time, okay? Knees aligned to your toes, core braced, chest up, down. Okay, and when you go down, don't make this mistake. You see what's happening. If I'm going too low, sometimes my butt is winking. It's like my spine is rounding as I go down, and you don't want to do that because your spine won't be neutral anymore. I don't want you to push your spine too far out either, because otherwise it's not a squat anymore. What you're doing there, we don't know. Feet spread out, okay, far away from each other, more than your hip width apart. Knees out the whole time. I want you to descend down to a comfortable height. So I just saw a bird. Comfortable height, okay? Making sure that your butt is not winking, okay? And then come back up. Squeeze at the top, you see? But do not squeeze doing this, because you see what's happening here? My back is rounding again and it's not neutral anymore, okay? It's a great exercise. Once you master the form, and obviously you will know if an exercise is hurting you or not, then you can start adding a band, okay? And practicing with that same exercise, the same form. And once you feel comfortable enough and you know that you're doing the exercise right and it's not hurting your body, obviously if you experience DOMS, which is muscle soreness around, for example, your glutes, your legs, that is completely normal. But what I mean is if your back is hurting, your knees are hurting, that means that you're doing something wrong. Another great exercise that I love doing banded is obviously a hip thrust. You know, you guys, you know that I always talk about, I'm always on about the hip thrust, the good old hip thrust. No matter whatever you're using at home or whatever, I want you to I want your back to rest against the surface that you're using at your bra strap level, okay? So at the end of your scapula, if you want to be more technical. Once you elevate yourself up, keep looking forward the whole time. Remember that is important. And then push through your heels, squeeze your hips up. And when people don't know, for example, say how far should I position my feet, just keep practicing, and I want you to see, you should basically position your feet so that your shins are vertical. Let me just show you. Vertical, you see here, perfect angle. So my shins are vertical here. If I put them like that, you see they're not vertical anymore, okay? So play with your stance, okay? Keep looking forward, shin tucked in. And squeeze up and down. Really great exercise for beginners. As a beginner, you'll start to see the first results within a first month if you're using a good program, which, by the way, not being biased, but my program is absolutely amazing. And guess what? You even get 7 days free trial. So I'll put the link in the description. You're welcome, okay? You get all the information, all the description, everything you need to know, how much weight you need to use and everything. And whether you're a beginner or an advanced or an intermediate lifter, it's all different, and it helps you progress with your lifts as well. So it's literally amazing, okay? You also get a nutrition plan with it as well. So, as I was saying, as a beginner, you should start to see the first results within a month, really. Once you master every single exercise in the form, then you can start looking into heavy things, and building your strength is easier for a beginner than for an advanced, because your body is not used to exercising in general. You pick up strength really easily, okay? Once you master the form and you start adding weight, I want you to really push yourself once you know that you're doing it right, okay? And work towards progressive overload, okay? I want you to increase the weight that you're using over time. So things like, for example, with the hip thrust, you don't have to like put I don't know, 20 kilos all at once, just start even by adding 2.5 plates on each side. That will make a difference as well. Now, let's talk about more advanced people. As you start training for longer, you start adding more weight and you become an advanced. Basically, your body gets used to the stimulus, it gets used to exercising. So unfortunately, tough luck, it gets a little bit harder for us. But obviously, it doesn't mean it takes a little bit longer to achieve results when you're in advance, because your body is already used to exercising. So you have to push it really hard at the gym to really get results and to keep growing, okay? So that's why it's important that for advanced people, I recommend being at the gym, because you need heavy weights unless you keep buying them basically at home, and that, imagine that will be very expensive. But it's generally easier to train in a gym. You can still grow at home, okay? But you'll have to work twice as hard, unless you do my plan. If you do my plan, then everything is already created for you, just saying. So you have to basically, as an advanced lifter, then yes, the answer is yes, you have to try partially to lift heavier, okay, because we're working towards that progressive overload, unless you do the home training and you incorporate other things, okay? Lifting heavier is generally easier because you don't really have to think too much about the exercises that you're doing, okay? And there are things that you have to include, because a lot of people that are more advanced, they tend to stagnate. It's important that you include things like periodization. So for example, you do cycles of exercises. Let me give you an example. For 6 weeks, you could really focus on going really hard on squats, okay? So you have the same program, but really go hard on squats for 6 weeks, okay? So you do moderate weight with hip thrusts, with the other compound movements that you normally do, but you really focus on setting personal best, going as heavy as you can with squats. You can't do the same thing with all the exercises at once, okay? Because that's just impossible. You'll get tired. So it's important you focus on one exercise at a time to really work and maximize its strength. At the moment, my focus is hip thrusts. So we'll do for 6 weeks, I'll really focus on hip thrusts. So try to go as heavy as I can, trying to build my strength there. While at the same time, I still do my squats, my accessory movements, but still I don't really go as heavy. And then after 6 weeks, I'll basically do the opposite. So try to go as heavy as I can, for example, on squats, and keep my hip thrust moderate, like weight, or keep at the same weight that I was working on before. For example, for me, like, just let me show you a little bit my movie, okay? For example, for me, okay, with my bum, because I'm basically growing the muscle to its fullest potential, because it's getting, obviously I'm not being a weirdo, but we know that my bum is quite, it's all right. It's quite like a decent size, isn't it? So I would say my body basically doesn't want to grow it any longer. So you really have to force it to grow by pushing it with heavier loads at the gym, by eating more. So make sure you increase your calories. Another tip that I'm going to give you for my advanced is to write down your session, okay? Do not just go to the gym, make up, or even if you like keep doing the same workout and don't keep track of the weight and how many reps and sets you're doing of an exercise, because you're just making it up, and like that you're just not really focusing on progressive overload. It is much easier, I'm telling you from my own experience, because until probably like a year ago, I wasn't really keeping track of the weight that I was using, of how many reps I was able to do with that weight, etc. So I wasn't seeing and I wasn't really monitoring my progress, okay? You need to make sure you have a plan, okay? And let's say squats, right? I'm just going to give you an example. On Monday, in May, right? like I'm just making an example, I'm completely making it up here. In May, I've been able to do, for the first set of squats, I've been able to lift 80 kilos and I've done 8 reps of 80 kilos, okay? And then for the second rep, I decreased to 70 and I've done 10 reps, etc., etc. Now, if I don't know that I've done 8 reps for that 80 kilos, okay? And the next time I go to the gym in 2 weeks, I keep doing the same. I don't know that I won't remember, simply like I won't remember, because as I'm doing so many exercises at the gym, I won't remember of how many reps I've done of that particular weight. So if I keep doing the same exercise, like the same reps, the same number of reps, I'm not really keeping track of my progress. Instead, if I write that down, and then I know that in June, I've been able to do 10 reps of 80 kilos. Now that is progress, okay? So it's easier when you know to monitor your strength, how your strength is improving, how much weight you're lifting over time if you write that down and keep track of everything, okay? I know there is a bit of a ball ache because you have to I'm literally every time I have to do a set, I'm just there with my phone on my notes, having to write that down, but it's worth it because it helps you track, okay? That being said, I hope you found this video useful. Just to summarize a few points, for beginners, you don't need to go as heavy. The main thing, because beginners are just easy, okay? You're lucky if you're a beginner. It's your lucky day, okay? So start now, really. You'll start seeing results much easier than anyone else, any other type of lifter if you're as a beginner, okay? But you need to make sure your focus here is mainly form. Okay, doing the exercise right, make sure you're doing it right. You don't want to injure yourself, okay? Do it right, focus on the form, doing more reps, okay? More sets, and use a resistance band. Common rule that is for any sort of person, no matter whether you want to grow your legs, your glutes, your arms, whatever it is, you have to eat enough. You have to eat enough because training alone will not give you results. You could have the best plan in the world, the best exercises in the world, but if you're not feeding your body, it cannot grow. It's like a plant, okay? If you don't water it, it won't grow. Progressing is also easier for a beginner because you'll get your strength much quicker than anyone else. This is when you'll see yourself progressing and getting stronger and gaining the most of your muscle during the first year. So, lucky you if you're a beginner and you're watching this, got you, lucky. As of advanced, of course, it's a little bit more sad for us, isn't it? What can we do? But that doesn't mean we can't do it, okay? We can still put on mass, we could still put on size. Just make sure you focus on periodization. You don't try to go crazy on all the exercises, try to lift heavy on all of them because that's not gonna work, okay? Because I tried it. So it's better to focus on some key exercises where you really want to push and go heavier and also track your progress, okay? You want to really focus on progressive overload there, okay? Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please, I remind you to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you pretty soon.